Gary, man, look, if your guys can see, I'm getting goosebumps, and it's weird because I'm getting nerdy about CRM, and that's what kind of gets my juices flowing. Mindset is the most important when it comes to success in life, specifically in business, though. Mindset is the most important.
All right, Jas, brother, we are back. Second half.
Let's do it.
Yes, do it, man.
That's my better half. I come in harder in the second half.
Listen, you know what I want to ask you is, you've obviously, we just finished talking about a particular podcast that you're listening to right now. It's called the All In Podcast. You're obviously listening to high-performing podcasters, athletes, content creators. What do you see is a common trait with all of these people?
I think they're resilient. I've been lucky enough to, my podcast now, personally, it's been going on for 5 years, and that's not a shameless plug, by the way, but I shifted my podcast to go solo.
Yep.
So I go by myself. It's a Q&A format. I get a bunch of questions from real estate professionals, salespeople, entrepreneurs, and I just kind of answer the question.
Yeah. Is that something new that you kind of switched to a little bit?
I did it about a year ago.
Yeah, I like that.
Mainly because for 4 years, excuse me, I had guests. And it's tough, right? You know this more than anyone, man.
Right.
Guests cancel sometimes. There's just a lot of setup around it. I had a blast. In fact, to your question, I learned so much from the guests, so much. And the trait that I learned from multi-billionaires I had on, I have some of the top content creators ever, the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, the Robert Kiyosaki's, Ryan Cern, all these guys. What I learned that they were just like the number one trait, resiliency. They got back up every single time they got punched in the face, and there were macro losses that they had, and even in the micro. I actually think, in a weird way, the micro ones are harder, personally anyways, the daily losses, because there's so many of them sometimes, right? Like, we're somewhere in the afternoon today, 1 o'clock right now currently. Bro, I probably already got, without any exaggeration, at least 15 to 18 no's in my phone right now. For things that a client not wanting to buy right now. That's a no. It probably starts really early in the morning for me, like when I try to play with my wife a little bit. And so maybe I'm built for it. Like, I get that thick skin. I usually get a no sometimes, most of the time in the mornings anyways. And so I got people who were supposed to be bringing me into their brokerage, i.e. I'm Spain. The guy's kind of ghosting me now. Like all these things. There's a lot of them in a day. I just keep going. I'm kind of like the Energizer Bunny, right? That's what I noticed from these guys. They also had macro losses, like the business failed. They had to shut down, but then they started another one. They just did some type of iteration to it, adjusted along the way. It's why I have massive signs in my office, I think 3 of them, that say ready, fire, aim. Yeah. Like, get into the habit of pulling the trigger as much as possible. That's just what I've learned. It works really well because you get more shots at it.
You know what's interesting with that is that, when I got into the entrepreneur world back in 2014 to where I am today, okay, I've had more failure, but I've learned so much in that it's made me more successful. But I still fail even today. I really do. And even some of the setbacks, I'm like, how am I back here again when I was so much better in another time in my life a couple of years ago? And especially where interest rates are, a lot of people right now are in a lot of difficult place right now, where now it's about treading water and how long can you stay afloat. It's not an easy thing right now. And what do you say to people?
I think in real estate investing and in business in general, the number one rule is to stay in business and stay in the world of investing. That's the number one rule, because once you're out, you're done. and then you quit, and then you got to move on. And I get it, why people quit. I just don't, it's as much of a cliche it is that winners don't quit and quitters don't win. It's just the truth. And for me, this past 12 months, call it this whole year, it's a matter of, man, can I just make $1 extra than what I'm spending?
Make more than you spend.
Just make more than I spend. I'm in the game.
And pivot and adapt.
100%.
Listen, man, my whole business, smart home choice, almost wiped out. Almost, right? But you just had to pivot and adapt. But I saw it coming. I think also, too, you have to be able to see when things are coming as well, too. Even if you don't see it, but even if when it does hit you, you got to pivot fast, adapt, not complain, and just keep moving forward.
Well, I mean, complaining is useless because generally we complain to the wrong person as well. Like we complain at home about the people at the office, and at the office we complain about everyone at home. Rather than just facing what is going on. You have a bad life happening at home, face that head on. And the only people, what I've come to realize, the only people that care about your complaining is other complainers. That's why misery loves company.
Yeah.
Right? So you're so much better off with surrounding yourself with people that are inspiring, motivating, because they're not going to let you stay in a state of complaining for that long. Like in our office, man, look, put aside all the pedestal stuff like families, health, and all that stuff, right? Just put all that away, right? But if you're complaining about like your video didn't do well, or a call didn't go your way, or a client, in our business in real estate sales, sometimes you work with a client and they change their mind. It's their money. They should be able to do that. Or they end up maybe working with their cousin. Something of that sort. You're allowed to like have 90 seconds. Fucking throw F-bombs, throw shit against the wall. I don't care. But after 90 seconds, time to pivot. Let's go.
Right.
Because all you're doing is setting up the vibration, and the frequency that you're putting yourself on is to receive more than that.
What adversities have you gone through over the last year or so? And how have you had to pivot? Because I'm sure you've had to. Yeah, like, I mean, last year, like this past 12 months, I think the biggest one is the volume of sales in the macro of our city, in our province, in our country, but then even us specifically. So we help about 650 to 700 families every single year like clockwork. We're probably down to about 400. Right.
Now, what happens with that is that the revenues at 650 to 700, I don't pocket the money ever, like other than what I needed for my personal life. You can tell I'm not a fancy guy. Not that there's anything wrong with people with Ferraris and Lambos, like you do you kind of thing.
Right.
But I have a lot of staff. I take all that money and I get more people.
Right.
So I'm all about people. Let me get more because then we can get more done. I like that I have 10 support staff because for me, I mentally can work with 400 hours a week.
I'm glad you bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to
finish
bring
it
together in terms of
okay,
the adversary is that the obstacle there is that I still have those expenses. So the way that I pivoted is, oh, honey, we can't maybe do the organic strawberries for a little bit. The kids are going to be fine with the regular strawberries. Less vacations, right? We were talking off air for 2 seconds, and I was saying, like, I'm going away for the first time this year with my family. I usually do that. We take smaller vacations, like, go for a weekend and stuff like that. It's the first time I'm going away with my kids and my wife. I've been away for work, for travel because of business, but personally, I had to cut that out. At the end of last year, I downgraded my car. I drive a $15,000 Toyota Camry outside. I'm saying this like I'm not trying to impress anyone. There's probably, like, other than the supercars, the Bugattis and all that stuff, there's probably not a car that I can't afford in terms of a lease payment and a monthly payment. But I'm like, no, I'm going to downgrade. So I gave back my old car. I drive around in a $15,000 Camry that gets me to point A to point B. It's clean. And I reinvested that into my slush fund, knowing that no, I ain't gonna get rid of my videographers. I ain't gonna get rid of my sales team. I'm not gonna get rid of the administrators. I'm gonna keep everyone. That's how I had to adjust. Like, I had to physically have less stuff. Luckily, I didn't have a lot of things that I needed to get rid of, but I already got to, I'm here right now, Gary, in my own head. I bought a home 7 years ago that I just got a really great steal on. So the value of it tripled maybe. And now with the market the way it is, I'm 2.5 times what I bought it from. In my head, brother, like it's a bigger home. I don't need that. So I'm already like, and my wifey knows, and she's down with it. She's been with me for a very long time. So I'm lucky and blessed to have a partner like that. I'll just like, let's go get a smaller home. Yeah. Downsize really, really quickly. You know, and there's a saying, and it's just coming into my head to make sure I articulate it. Be careful about the things that you buy, because you might need to sell things at some point that you actually needed. It's something along those lines. Yeah. So just be very careful with all the stuff, and I'm doing air quotes for the guys in the car, because you might need to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah, that also reminds me of, there's a quote where it says, if you own something and can't let it go, you don't own it, it owns you. Right? So that's, and number two, I like the fact that you're bringing that up, because I think people look at you or us and they're like, oh, well, these guys are fine and they're not impacted by high interest rates. And it can't be further from the truth, because when you're growing and you're spending that much more money and you're building and growing your team, you have so much more expenses. And the last thing you want to do is let them go.
Yeah.
And so even for myself and my wife, we had to pivot. We've had to cut things down. We had to lower the amount of vacations that we take as well too, because I don't want to get rid of my staff. I want to keep these people around me because they have been there to help me throughout the good times. So why can't I, and why should I not be able to give back during the hard times?
And that's why you're going to win. And you know, where I got myself to, and so maybe this can bring you value, is I've also come to the realization that I might have to at some point. But my crew knows deep down inside, if that conversation had to be, like if we got to that place, I've done everything.
Yeah.
Because they don't, like I can't have some of my people in my leadership organization, and even somebody who we just hired new, who's at like on the totem pole of responsibility, so to speak, is near the bottom. I can't have them eating like noodles every single day, scraping, and in front of them I'm driving the fanciest cars and I'm eating at the best steakhouses every single day.
Yeah.
I like to treat myself. Like I like to go get myself a night. Like I like steak, so I am gonna get a better steak or a high quality steak sometimes, but not at the expense of watching someone on my team not being able to do that on a regular. Like not that they have to eat steak, but you can't just be eating noodles and I'm eating here, and because you're doing all the. That doesn't sit right with me. So they know that's how I roll. They know my car. They know everything. That if it came to that, I'm also not worried about other people's judgment. Like I'm not worried about someone on social saying that he failed. Like that's peanut gallery stuff, man. Like I was playing the game. Like you were just in the crowd, and you know, again, do you? For me, if I ever had to get that, and I'm not foreshadowing anything by any means, but I would be comfortable with that as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I think that's important for people to hear. Now, let's move into content creation, because you love content creation. Let's talk about that. Why is that so important for whether it be realtors or mortgage agent? Why is content creation so important? Why do you continue to keep doing it?
Well, I think as a real estate professional, really as like any business owner, because I know your listenership is quite you know there's a variety of people. Like if you're running for maybe like the head of student council, you need people to know about you. In sales, the process of somebody actually doing business with you, you want to get them to trusting you. When you have someone's trust, there's a much higher probability of them transacting, them giving you money for the product or service that you have. But before they can trust you, this is now 30 years of sales and service, they got to kind of like you.
Yeah.
Right? Like they don't need to like envision themselves in bed with you. like literally or in love with you, but they gotta have like a good vibration. Like it's why you and I don't even know how long you and I have known. Like I feel like I've known you forever, Gary, but it's been multiple years. You and I have been doing content together. There's just a vibe around you. I'm like, I'm gonna go see Gary. Like my team knows I hardly ever leave the office. I'm a hermit. I like to stay in, and this is still like an hour drive in. I'm like, for Gary, I'm coming in. Like I just love your vibration. So if you were trying to sell something to me, you have my ears. I'm not sure if we transact or not, but at least you have my ears. So the highest is getting them to trust you. To trust you, you got to get them to like you. But before all of that, if they don't know you or have seen you, you have no shot at them liking you or trusting you. And in 2025, the easiest way to get someone to possibly know you is in the digital world. Because doesn't matter where you are in the world, someone can possibly see you.
Right.
And that's it feels like it's a big world in the digital landscape. It's really not that big, meaning there's about 7 or 8 places people go every day on their phone. They're listening to watching a podcast on YouTube or Spotify. So that's 2. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have LinkedIn, and there's a couple of others like Snapchat and Pinterest and stuff like that. But the ones that I named are like the major ones. Active monthly users, those are the kind of the top ones. And so as a business owner, you should be on one of them for sure. I just put it on steroids and said, well, I don't know if people maybe like the short form of TikTok. Maybe they like long form on YouTube. So I'm going to be on both. It's like if I said to the person who's watching and listening right now, who's a real estate professional, that there's a house party happening tonight. And at this house party, there's going to be a couple of hundred people. And out of the couple of hundred people, some of them might have real estate agents, but a lot of them don't. You should probably go to that party, and all the agents would go get a fancy dress, get a new tie, take a shower, brush their teeth, and go. Mm-hmm. What I'm telling everybody is that there's a party going on at these 7 places, and people are buying and selling real estate. And if you're not on these platforms, you're missing out on the party. Yeah. And so now when you look at those 7 platforms, they all have best practices. Let me not go nerd and geek out on that. We could do that on a different podcast. But every one of those allow for video. Mm-hmm. It's going to be weird. It's going to be very tough at the start, but you got to get to at least trying it, testing it, right? Like 100 videos. And if you got no feedback, and it was weird even on the 100th one, then maybe we shift to like what you and I are doing right now is a podcast. The word podcast is for what it really means, and what it came out as is an on-demand radio show. Radio meaning it's just audio. We all took it to the next level and started recording it through the camera, but you could do just this if you're a little, you know how it is, right? Like sometimes you're watching somebody do video. If it's their 6th time, no worries. But even if they've done it a couple hundred, it's like there's just something odd about this person, man. Like it's not, that's okay. We as humans consume content either through audio or video being the highest, because then you can also do a lot more with that content when it's recorded on camera, but also the written word. Like people still buy books. Yeah. Go check Amazon, man.
You know what the hardest part though is in the beginning for a lot of people that are trying to get the content going is that they're content consumers. And so now they're scrolling and they're like, somebody already did that video. Somebody already did that one. You know what? Who's going to want to listen to me? And one of the things that I tell my agents here is, here's what you do. Take your phone out, record a video, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, don't post it. The next day, do the same thing. Do that for 30 days. And guess what? I guarantee if you go back, you're going to find one of those videos that'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
And post it. Post and ghost. Just post and ghost.
I love that.
Post and ghost.
It's funny that you go down that route, and I don't think that's wrong. Because what I usually say is make that video and then post it. Because I'm like, watch, you're going to find out that you're not going to faint.
You won't.
Right? Like, so I don't think I'm right and you're wrong or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Like, if that is what's going to get people off their ass to record the video and post it, I love that thought process. It's funny what you said about the consuming. I had an event at my office 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. There's 50 people in the room. And I said it was all about social media and content. And I asked everybody, please do me a favor. Stand up if you go on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube once a day as a consumer for a minimum of like nothing even more than a couple of minutes. Just stand up. Every single, I'm not exaggerating, every single person, 50 people stood, I have the video. It will be coming out soon. 50 people stood up, Gary. Said, now stay standing if you put out one piece of content every single day on any one of the platforms. Not all of them, just everyone. Every single person except for one person sat down. Meaning that 50 people, real estate professionals, all go on those platforms to consume.
Yep.
They go to consume the content, but yet they don't put content out. So kind of putting all that, your first question in kind of a bow, I just realized like, whoa, I go here, but I know everybody else is going here. I'm going to be there. Yeah. Now, I had to go through the ebbs and flows of what worked well for me. We're going through it right now, real time. Literally, when we leave here for the next hour and a half, I'm putting my 2 content creators. I have a team of 5, but I'm putting the 2 videographers and editors along with my business partner. I'm like tying them to a chair and myself. And for an hour and a half, we're going to sit there and talk about kind of 2025, what's working, what's not working, what we want to do more of. Talking about ebbs and flows. Like my long form stuff doesn't do as well as my short form. But my boys, content guys, they want to do more long form. But I'm like, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Like, I'm not trying to be a YouTuber here. I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan. Right? I'm not trying to, I just need awareness. For me, the awareness has always come from the short form. And I've just come to the realization, man, I'm not going to be like, I'm not a good long form guy on tape. Like I've gotten enough feedback from a stage perspective. People like it. But on YouTube, there's too many best practices. I don't want to spend that much time on it, guys. I think what people like is the hit of Jas within 32 seconds. Yep. Let's give them more of that drug.
Because Jas got a lot of good hits. I even take a little bit of your drugs from time to time. Like, God damn, that was good, Jas.
And it's usually from the short form.
Yes. I get it from the short form. So there you go. So as a user... Yes.
So that's real feedback. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that one of my guys is here today.
Yeah, to hear that.
But yeah, man. So like you're going to find the ebbs and flows. Like you might find that the camera's too weird for you. Who cares? You cannot do video. I'm okay with that. You just cannot not do content.
I agree.
You have to put out content.
I want to switch it up to one last segment here, which is CRM. How important is a CRM to you? Because I'm going to tell you right now, for me, man, that thing has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years since I started back in 2010. One of the best advice that I ever got when I got into the industry was do not underestimate the power of a CRM and a database, and more importantly, to talk to them.
Yeah. Gary, man, look, if your guys can see, I'm getting goosebumps. And it's weird because I'm getting nerdy about CRM, and that's what kind of gets my juices flowing. Mindset is the most important when it comes to success in life, specifically in business, though. Mindset is the most important. If you don't have the right mindset, forget everything, tactics, CRM, events, content, calling, forget all that stuff. The next thing that is the most fundamental, and our real estate professionals should get this easily. You cannot build a home. You sell real estate. They're called homes and properties on a swampy foundation. That house will come tumbling down. There's not going to be sustainability for that actual house if it's on a swampy foundation. Your business is the exact same. The CRM is the concrete being poured that will allow the rest of the house, the business, to be built on top of. I spend an ungodly amount of time and effort coming up with new ways all day long on how can I stay in touch with my database, another word for CRM, as much as possible.
Good. I'm glad you said that because I felt nerdy this year because I spent so much time. Now that I'm not doing as much real estate, I spent hours and hours with my coaching team on what else do I need to do to build that CRM and to get automation in there and to reach out to the people that are following me?
It's
so important.
650 families to 700 families a year. 92 to 93% are people that have been nurtured in our CRM.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's something that will drive the point home. I spend $22,000 a year on my CRM. I do not advise anyone to spend that much. Get the ones that are $50 a month. Mm-hmm. They're all pretty much the same. In all honesty, the best CRM is the one that you actually use. So I know a lot of you have logins for it, but you don't actually go into it. The reason I spend what I spend is because I nerd out about the analytics. Like, I like to know where Gary clicked on the email and how many times. Mm-hmm. Like, I
which one are you using right now?
HubSpot.
Okay, cool. Okay. But you're right though, because people just start off with MailChimp. That's the one that I started off with.
Sure.
So simple.
Follow Up Boss.
And now I've got into Follow Up Boss now. I love Follow Up Boss. I'm actually using both.
Yeah.
And I spent maybe not as much as you, but damn close.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's that important, man.
It's that important.
And so it's funny. Like, I always said that. And it happened with the coaching academy. So people came into my CRM, my real estate company, which is REC Canada. Agents came into that CRM, just wanting to get what we're sending out and then use it for their business. And we were always okay with that. But then what happened is that because I had it sourced, like, you're a realtor. So then what I did is I got another CRM for my coaching academy. Because I've been nurturing these agents, put them into this new CRM, made a call, permission-based, and called and said, do you mind, Gary, like, if you give me the opinion, this is the script that, air quotes again, that we use, do you mind giving me your opinion on some of the marketing I'm going to be doing for the coaching academy? I'm going to give you some free resources at any time. If it's too much, unsubscribe. I'm a big boy. I can handle the constructive criticism. I'll be fine if you unsub. Side note, I'm giving people the opportunity to, like, leave. Because some people are just like, I don't want to even sign up because then I'm going to hurt your feelings. No, it's not going to hurt my feelings. Took those agents 3 years ago from zero. That's why we call the company From the Ground Up, because we built it from the ground up. And you, as a real estate professional, need to build your business from the ground up. To 6,287 people. Like, I know the exact number on a daily basis. It's the report that I get sent to me every night. And 100% of the revenue, not 99.99, 100% of the revenue, which is now in the last 3 years, I think we're getting close to about 2.6, 2.7 in combined for the 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. 100% of that revenue came from my actual CRM of people that we've been nurturing. No ads, not to say that you shouldn't do ads, like you should get new people, but before you bring new people into your world, let's just take care of the people that we already have. Because what good is it bringing in new people? Like, it's like me pouring water in this beautiful Real Talk with Gary mug, but it has a bunch of holes in it. You would look at me and be like, Jas, are you on crack, bro? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you keep pouring water in the glass? There's actual holes in it. Yeah. Plug those holes and then bring in more water.
So true. You got to nurture that database that you have. And I think the hard part in the beginning, too, is that people are like, but I don't have that big of a database. When I started, I think I had about 8 people on there. 2 of them was my wife's email, Hotmail, Yahoo, my kids. And then I just started talking to them, started talking to myself. And I wasn't doing the typical real estate agent market stats. I was like, here's how I fucked up this week. Here's the biggest mistake that I just made. Here's what I did to resolve it. And every week from 2010 to 2020, I wrote every single newsletter. Amazing. It wasn't until around 2020 when I actually got my team to now help me do it. But that's how important it was to me.
And for everybody who's listening right now, my videographer and I were just talking, and I think we made a video on it on the way here. Now, like Gary mentioned, he wrote it. Amazing. Then his team did. Now, like, you don't even need a team like Gary has or myself. You use something called AI.
Yeah.
Go into ChatGPT and here's your prompt. I'm a local realtor in Oshawa. I need 26 emails every other week to go out to my client base, educating them on buying, selling, and investing. And please don't have many call to actions in the emails you're going to provide me, ChatGPT. Please give me the 26 topics. 3.1 seconds, it's going to give you 26 topics. Your next prompt, do me a favor, write for each of those topics, give me the full email with the subject line that you think is going to give me the highest engagement and open rate. Within about 2 minutes, I'm not exaggerating, within 2 minutes, you're going to have all 26 emails with the subject line and the full email. It's insane what technology has allowed for now. And then if you feel like you want to do that once a week, just make it, instead of 26, say 52.
Awesome. Jas, listen, man, I appreciate your time. If we were to wrap this up, and we're going to wrap it up, what is the best advice that you can give somebody right now that's listening to help change their life?
I think, the sweater that I wear, the hoodie that I wear, the t-shirt I wear on a regular basis, it has a writing on it that says "You are enough." I was just making sure I was wearing it. And I have that because I want people to remember that you don't need to be like someone else. You have all the resources. However, I don't want you to get it twisted. You have to be a better version of yourself to get more. You don't need to be someone else, though. And so I would wrap it up by saying you are enough. Don't try to be like someone else. Just be a better version of yourself.
Awesome, Jas. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time.
That was awesome.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about who Jas is?
Just Google me, Jas Takhar, Jastakhar. You can find out how you want to consume me. Maybe you want to consume me long form. Maybe you want my short form, and maybe you just want to never see me and just hear me on my podcast.
Thank you, Jas. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do it again.